Nice to see you again. We're starting with Kohelet. We're up to Perek Chet. The topic of this Perek is going to be the way living a moral life affects things for you, not in Olam Haba, but in this world. Oftentimes people think, well, you live a good life, in the end it'll be good for you. But the fact is the people who live bad lives have it better here. That's not true, as we'll see in the Perek. So it begins. Mi kehachacham u'mi yodeh pesher davar chochmat adam ta'ir panav v'oz panav yisuneh. It says, who in the world is considered like a wise person? So you could say, well, an expert in this or an expert in that. The fact is, wisdom has far more meaning than that. What's wisdom? So we'll look at wisdom and gain three perspectives. In Pirkei Avot it says a wise man is someone who could predict the future, who's ro'eh hanolad. That means they could see the logical outcome of things. Most people are stuck, because of their subjectivity and their prejudices, to see things as they would like to see them. A wise person could see things as they actually are. And from that perspective, they could see the logical outcome. Another mamar from Pirkei Avot, a chacham is somebody who's lamed mikol adam, somebody who could learn from anyone. That means that they could see that there's a spark of truth inherent and unifying between people. The third idea, which is a Kabbalistic idea, is that chacham is the spark of creativity with which Hashem began the process of creation, and that all subsequent realities come from there in their unknowable and intricate patterns. So a chacham thereby would be a person who could see all of the different possibilities, the trees, the grass, oneself, other people, history, and related to that one flash of divine creativity that was the germ of everything else, in the same way a seed has everything that the plant will ever be, and all future plants that come of that species. So you say, who's like a chacham? Who's thought of as being a chacham? So the answer that they're giving is someone who can interpret things. That's what it says here in Kohelet. A person who, using their vision, could interpret things. What would give a person that ability? So in Orchot Tzaddikim, the author tells us that the soul is carved from under the Kisei HaKavod, under the divine throne. So the soul knows the truth. The soul knows the truth. It resonates. So when a person lives a life of truth, meaning not only don't they falsify verbally or practically, but in their mind, they're careful to see things as they are, not as they would like them to be, or not as they could manipulate them into being. That person taps into the reservoirs of chachma that are there in every soul. So because of this, a person who's a chacham in that sense, where they'll find a lokut, they'll find what the outcomes will be, because there's nothing to stand in the way like their prejudices or their subjectivities. They'll hear what the other person says because they believe that there's something to be learned. A person like that will be able to interpret even dreams, the author of Orchot Tzaddikim says. Why? Because a person's dream tells them what's going on subconsciously. If what's going on subconsciously is search of truth, a person's dreams will be true. So who's like a chacham who could give interpretations to things? So the one who's given as an example of this is Daniel, who had visions that he revealed to others that they recognized as being the truth. This is how things will be. So how is a person like that regarded in their own lifetime? They're valued, they're validated. Conversely, that before we go to the converse, there's another thing that makes a chacham different in his own lifetime, where it says the person's wisdom brings light to their face. So it means that they have a certain luminosity, not just, I don't mean physical luminosity necessarily, although Moshe had that as well, but I mean clarity that can be recognized by others. So the person whose face is light, it's lit with clarity, with decisiveness, with unprejudiced truth. that person is living a good life. They see reality for what it is, so that there's nothing hopeless, nothing unnecessary. Everything is a reflection of God's will. And they're valued by people because people could see that in them. Conversely, you have va'os panav yisuneh, a person who has the trait of azus panim. What's azus panim? Chutzpah, where they're pretentious, where they falsify their image, where they're into petty competition. They're hated. So the opening pasuk of our Perek is telling us the ground rules. If you want a good life here and now, acquire wisdom. Don't put on the posturings of wisdom, acquire wisdom. And acquiring wisdom could only happen if you're willing to expand your mind to see the bigger picture, which means that you're in connection with God.